Subsidized fertilizer is a facade. It's a scam.
It is?
It's a scam. Because what percentage? Go to Sibanga. You know Sibanga. That's next to my place. You will not buy fertilizer at less than 6,000. This subsidized fertilizer is chevroned in a way that some few selected people will get it. Others will not get. Well, miracles in the Bible could be seen. Perhaps miracles today cannot be seen because they are not being pronounced by prophets. They are being pronounced by mortals like Cherargei and Ndindi Nyoro. Otherwise, I don't know where that development has taken place. I don't know those miracles they are talking about. Possibly they might have dreamed about those miracles, and it's good if they will come to pass. It will be good for Kenya. They say nobody kicks a dead dog. If Uhuru was dead and finished, they will not be talking about it. Because some of the clips that I see, they are done in Kikuyu, so at times I thank God my wife knows the language. When she interprets for me, I realize now Uhuru is more relevant than he was when he was president.
Truly delighted to have you on Siasa Brigade, your go-to point on matters, politics and governance. Here on Herman Manyora channel, I'm yours truly, Richard Mwenjem. Such an honor and pleasure to have you on board. Today, we are truly humbled, and we have the absolute honor to host none other than former Cabinet Minister Ruto Arap Kirwa. He was Minister in charge of Agriculture during Kibaki's regime, and he is a seasoned political leader and public scholar. The first of his name, Ruto Arap Kirwa, welcome on board.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Such a pleasure to have you on board yet again.
It's also my pleasure too, because this is a very interesting forum. Yes, we're able to share freely without being gagged.
I met an MP the other day, and he told me Ruto Arap Kirwa has had things that everyone will imagine to have in life, being a minister, a member of parliament, being a seasoned thought leader. Why is he not retiring from politics?
Yeah.
Why are you not going home and just sitting under the mango tree in silence?
Okay. I'm here to plant the mango tree in Kitale. And in politics, you don't choose to retire. You are eased out of relevance. And for me, this space is still available for all of us. And retirement is one of the options. But the danger with retirement is that people think that you are tired. So I say I'm sabbatical leave, and I can bounce back, or I may decide now to retire. You know, at times you go for leave, then you retire. So for this case, I'm on sabbatical leave, and I may choose to retire, but I will never choose to keep quiet about political issues, because I strongly believe that each one of us has a contribution, however token it is, as a contribution to make to the betterment of this nation. Kenya belongs to all of us. No single individual has a title of Kenya. But some people at times arrogate themselves almost the high pedestal, and they think they own the country. You don't own. If you are to read the history of Kenya, you realize that there were bigger names than me in the past, but they are no longer there. But Kenya still continues. It may not be the best of times, but better times will come.
What comes to your mind then when you hear this constant clarion call, especially from the sitting legislators from Kenya Kwanza, who say it's high time Raila Odinga retires and leave it to other people like Sifuna to take over? His time is up. What comes to your mind when you hear people, even MPs, saying such?
No, they're scared of Raila. You know, Raila is the single most popular leader in Kenya today. You know, without really a stretch of imagination, Raila is the most popular leader in Kenya today. He may not be liked by people, but if you are to go to any corner of this country, people know Raila. And Raila was not known overnight. He worked on it progressively. You remember the first time he ran, he got about 500,000 votes. And he has now moved, he has crossed to the millions. He's now almost going to tens of millions in terms of popularity. So, for somebody to say that he should retire, remember Joseph Boykai, 80, took over the other day in Liberia. and he beat a young man, the former footballer,
George Weah.
Yeah, George Weah. So it is not really competition about running. I remember I saw the clip, he was coming to take over, and as he alighted, he was walking slowly. You could see this an old man. But people of Liberia decided that it's not about age, it's about trust. So you may be shocked that Raila may win the next election if he chooses to run, or he may support somebody who wins, or the current president may still win, whether Raila is running or not running. So politics, in my opinion, should be left to the vagaries of the world. We may be talking about the rerun of Ruto and Raila, only for something to happen that it will not be the two running. There may be two different people running neck to neck against each other. So I never like dismissing people. There is also another example. Abdoulaye Wade of Senegal ran 5 times for 35 years. And when he was 80, he won an election and he did 2 terms. And he moved almost all the way to 90s. The only mistake he made, he wanted to do a term extension. So there are enough examples in the world. Even the current president of America is now approaching 80. So it's not about the age, because being a president, you are just a chair of a team of individuals that can be as trusted by Kenyans. Remember Kibaki 1, he was unwell for almost 2 years. But he ran this country in a way that we are able to turn economy from negative growth to positive growth. You see, many people don't want to tell us the truth. Where Uhuru left this country was positive growth of 3.6%. Where President Moi left this country was negative growth. The GDP, the growth in agriculture sector was negative 2.4. And we were able to push it up to 6.8. And the economic growth was almost oscillating around that particular section. So for anybody to say we inherited the dilapidated economy,
sure,
and they were part of that, whether there was dilapidation, they were part of it. Uhuru Ruto, that was a crowd call in town. And tucked t-shirts, that was the popular fad in town. So you cannot just go and run away from an individual you have worked with. And that's why, I asked President Ruto one time, where did you part ways with Uhuru? When I was working with him, he never gave me satisfactory answer. He gave me a long story.
Skirting around the bushes.
He's skirting around the story until the issue of Supreme Court ruling that annulled the election 2017?
Sure.
And it was a good story. I listened to it, but I did not want to ask another story because he didn't give me the answer. I said, okay, he has acquitted himself by giving me a good story that I can now relate to you or during another session.
Sure.
Yeah.
Moving on swiftly, and still on that context of inheriting a dilapidated economy, this far, the president has gone big, even the deputy and many KK legislators, that the blame should be taken squarely at the doorstep of former President Uhuru Kenyatta for the current woes facing the country. Do you consider this to be part of their strategy to flatten the mountain that is Uhuru Kenyatta in gamer politics and national politics?
Nothing is further from the truth. No, let me put it well.
Sure.
Nothing can be further from the truth when you listen to that statement. 10 years he was with Uhuru. That's the president. Kimani Ichung'wah was in charge of finance committee. Leader of majority is now the Aden Duale.
CS Defense.
Well, he's now CS Defense. Name them.
Muturi was speaker.
Yes, for 10 years. Wetangula was minority leader in the Senate. So, who else? Yeah. So, what are they telling us? What is new? They are behaving as if they are talking to Kenyans who are born after 2022 election. We've been in this town. We are still here. We know. And we cannot entirely blame it on Uhuru. There was the drought for 2 years. There was the COVID, which affected the entire world. We lost billions worth of livestock in Bans Island. You know, that affected the economy. We lost a crop. That affected the economy. There was the issue of COVID. There was an issue of opening infrastructure that cost us a lot of money, and we borrowed. That borrowing was done through cabinet papers, and the cabinet papers, William Ruto was aware of them. So this issue of trying to blame, and I want to advise even new MPs, when you are elected, don't spend time talking about the former MP. That's what I was told when I was elected, that don't talk about the former MP. Talk about what you are doing with these people. It makes better sense. Talking about former president, you are not solving any problem. Now that you've been in office for 1 year, why is there blackout nationally? Is Uhuru responsible for switching off electricity? Really? I think we need to improve our politics. We need to improve hygiene of politics. Yeah, we don't, you are lying to Kenyans who are very intelligent. During our days, the whole constituency, you could hardly have 100 people who have gone up to Form 4. Today, almost every home has a graduate. Now, who are you lying to? And even apart from going to school, this form has created a lot of exposure that you lie, people Google, and they realize you are lying. Even the 15 billion trees that they are claiming they are going to plant, it is not feasible.
It is not?
It is not feasible to plant 15 billion trees. Or you can plant, but they don't grow. Because the trees they are talking about the other day, how many of them are dead? Because you see, planting a tree and growing a tree are two different issues. What we should have done is to institutionalize issues of planting of trees, so that you deal with primary schools, you deal with secondary school, we deal with institutions like the prison, like universities. You create certain niches that you have some vegetation cover with the right trees. But the way they are doing it is for a show. It is not really to assist the country. Yeah, just go through, or even Mombasa Road, you will see possibly they plant about 1,000 trees, 10 of them survive.
Still on that context of flattening the mountain and influence of Uhuru Kenyatta in national politics, the other day, Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana came forth and said in a TV interview, public space, no one remembers Uhuru anymore. That was his sentiment. On that very same week, Dadaab Member of Parliament Farah Maalim came forth and said, Uhuru came forth as the president to do nothing but milk the country dry. Do you consider these to be things that might really send Uhuru to political oblivion, such accusations and allegations, or he might not really be shaken by all that is coming from Keikwe regarding him?
It depends on how he takes it himself. Because at times in politics, you can invite yourself to a certain dark hole that you go to oblivion by the way you act. Otherwise, if I were him, I would keep quiet, because Kenyans know what President Uhuru did for the 10 years he was the president. He might have made mistakes, just like all of us make mistakes. Even when I was in the ministry, there are enough mistakes I made, but there are so many good strides that I was able to make in terms of growth of the sector. So I think the president should ignore them. We know what he did, and many other Kenyans know. And you see, the moment people are talking about you, there is something they are fearing. That's why they are saying Raila should retire. They are saying Uhuru did nothing. They want people not to think favorably about him. You realize when he went to Kitui the other day for a church service, people were demanding that he talks to them. And many of us would have wished that he talks, but I realize the silence he has maintained has earned him a lot of respect and a lot of space in terms of posterity. And you cannot wish away other politicians. Because the moment they say nobody kicks a dead dog, if Uhuru was dead and finished, they will not be talking about it. Because some of the clips that I see, they are done in Kikuyu, so at times I thank God my wife knows the language. When she interprets for me, I realize now Uhuru is more relevant than he was when he was president. Because on reflection, I think whatever Uhuru was telling the mountain at that particular time, they could not listen. Even personally, I would not listen, because William was able to build a good story, and it was believable. You could see hope. But he has been demystified by the office. such that nothing seems to be adding up. But the only advice I can give to my president, William Ruto, is to make sure that he becomes a better listener. He allows ministers to work. And he removes some of the people who seem now to be superimposing themselves like they are super ministers. I'm not talking about Musalia Mudavadi.
Sure.
Musalia Mudavadi is a man of huge respect. I'm talking about some other guys that I know who did nothing for the president to be the president. If I was to credit, I would credit William Ruto with 80% of the work that he did to be president. 20% I will share among the other leaders. And some of these guys, I will not give them even zero.
Even zero?
You know, I will not. I will give them minus. So that next time they now get to zero.
Very well.
They get some 2 marks.
Let's shift gears and let's talk about the Kenya Kwanza's government's fast fading charm. The other day we've seen increased public heckling anytime state officers take to the podium. Very recently, a fortnight ago, you saw CS Penina Malonza being heckled during a burial ceremony. The other time in Dagoretti, President William Ruto was heckled by people. Not many people are charming up to his crowd-pulling charm. We can call it that way. What could be the writing in the wall that they might not be seeing? It started with Ruto, it went to Chirchir Energy for CS Energy, and now Penina Malonza. What could be the writing on the wall?
Even Murkomen in Baringo.
Yeah, sure.
Even Murkomen in Baringo. You know what's happening is that they underrated the public intelligence. There is what we call collective intelligence of Kenyans, which is always right. Even when people don't give you votes, like they didn't give me votes in 2007, you don't lambast them. It is in their collective intelligence that they have realized that there is a better person. And whether that person is better, give him time. Time will prove him right or wrong. So, collective intelligence of Kenyans, they realized the stories they were given were not true. The stories of Uhuru doing what were not true. The stories of Uhuru not allowing the deputy to work,
execute his duties.
His duties, they have realized it was not true. Because now he's been given full mandate, not as a deputy president, but as a president. But he's unable to deliver on the promises he made himself. We didn't tell him to say that. He said it himself. He said it. He said even about, there are a number of things, about even the cost of feeding, of animal feed. He said, we are going to double milk production. Animal feed today, people are closing. Go to Githunguri. Go to anywhere in Kiambu. Go to Rift Valley. Today, animal feed is more expensive than it was last year.
Or subsidized fertilizer penetration in Wansingish?
Subsidized fertilizer is a facade. It's a scam.
It is?
It's a scam. Because what percentage? Go to Sibanga. You know Sibanga. That's next to my place. You will not buy fertilizer at less than 6,000. This subsidized fertilizer is chevroned in a way that some few selected people will get it. Others will not get. If you want to do subsidy, it must be subsidy sufficient enough to reduce even the prices of the fertilizer that has not been subsidized. But if subsidy is leaving the prices of other fertilizer almost at the same, and businessmen doing the same business, you have not resolved the issue of fertilizer subsidy.
Yeah. Very well. And now we're talking matters the political future of some of the elected leaders. Case in point, regarding Gachagua, there are some quarters who believe Musalia Mudavadi Prime CS is strategically positioned to scuttle away any presidential ambitions that Rigathi could be harboring. Do you consider Musalia a potential threat to Rigathi's presidential ambitions?
I don't know whether Rigathi is interested, and this is something that even the media did not capture, is interested in running for the presidency should William Ruto win the next election in 2032. Is Rigathi going to run? The answer is somewhere in the air. If you are to replay the clip when Ruto was announcing Rigathi Gachagua as his running mate, he said the two of them will retire in 2032, or when their term of office comes to an end. That is a clip that I had. And I think my memory still serves me very well. So if Rigathi thinks Ruto did not mean that, then he's in for a big surprise.
Very well.
And the political landscape can change in a way that it may not be Rigathi, it may not be Musalia, It may be somebody else.
Dynamics do change.
Yes, even within Kenya Kwanza. You know, I can say this without fear of contradiction. The next political dispensation, the landscape will change. Some of the players in Kenya Kwanza will be in Azimio or somewhere else. Some of the players in Azimio will be sucked into Kenya Kwanza. So I am yet to give that this is a fixed team on either side.
Very well.
Some players will change. Yeah.
Slightly over 2 months ago, we saw Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei come forward and said he is surprised by the miraculous development performance of President William Ruto. And the other day we saw that message being backed up by Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. Are we looking at a situation whereby there's extreme sycophancy within Kenya Kwanza that most people cannot call the king when he's naked? Look at the current woes in terms of high cost of living, just to mention but a few.
Well, miracles in the Bible could be seen. Perhaps miracles today cannot be seen because they are not being pronounced by prophets. They are being pronounced by mortals like Cherargei and Ndindi Nyoro. Otherwise, I don't know where that development has taken place. I don't know those miracles they are talking about. Possibly they might have dreamed about those miracles, and it's good if they will come to pass. It will be good for Kenya. Yeah.
Nothing to do with a spectacular performance by Ruto this far.
What performance, or what is the yardstick, or what is he performing on by almost shining all the presidents who have ever led this country by going abroad 46 times or 43, is about there, over 40 times in a short period of 1 year.
When Penina Malonza, the CS, is heckled the other day during a burial ceremony because of defending the president on fixing the cost of living. And my question still is, do you consider there to be extreme sycophants within Kenya Kwanza circles who cannot advise the king that maybe these policies are going to harm the hustlers, these bills you're legislating on are going to be dangerous to the citizens?
I'm told in the PG they wanted to advise the president that the cost of living is pinching on every Kenyan and almost causing a problem even to their backyard. But the president, I'm told, made a different message that some of those issues, let's consider as we get closer to elections.
You don't have to be popular all the time.
You don't have to be popular all the time. But you see, at times when something dips, it is very hard to recover. Because in politics, just a small event taking place and you miscalculating, you are not likely to gain any traction. And also, Malonza, at times when you go to a funeral, choose what to say. At times you can end up being a good mourner by sticking on the person that you are burying, because they were not burying Kenya Kwanza, they were burying somebody in Kitui. So if you had stuck to the message, you would not have been heckled. You would have gotten out of the place honorably. And of course, I could see her tone was too high-pitched. It is like he was quarreling them. He was not communicating with them. You see, at times also you can, people can even, you can attract attention by the way you carry yourself. The way you get to the podium, people will listen to you. You pause, wait for a moment for them to listen to you. But when you start quarreling them by raising a high-pitched tone, saying things that they are going against the people, just to look that you are supporting the president, you can support the president by not even mentioning his name, but saying things that people will resonate with, because they will associate you with the president.
Perfectly put there. And before we actually wrap up the show, very recently we've seen sort of an ounce of in-house cracks within Kenya Kwanza government. CS Murkomen being pitted against Cherargei accusing him of taking bribes to the tune of 15 billion. We've also seen Boni Khalwale addressing the DP saying Akona Kasumba because he's trying to fist manage everything from every political backyard in the country. Would you then say that maybe Kenya Kwanza is not a house built on rock, but rather one that is built on sand which cannot stand the test of time?
Well, Kenya Kwanza, is an amalgam. Amalgam in the sense that there are many components that came together for the purpose of winning the election. So they achieved that. But what they needed was now to spend more time bonding and learning how to work together. You remember the basic principles of forming a team you must go through storming. After storming, you are able to form, and after forming, you perform. So they needed to have gone through those stages because they are still, because it is many heads with different political ambitions. You cannot say Wetangula is not interested in running for presidency. You cannot say Kingi. You cannot say Rigathi. You cannot say whoever came to Kenya Kwanza came with the purpose of ensuring longevity in public space. And that longevity may even mean differing with this team to join another team to prolong their political life. So it is not easy for them to be one team. As to the issue of Cherargei and Murkomen, I think it is basic siblings rivalry. And Murkomen did not do anything better by ensuring that his county, as the largest block of money for infrastructure compared to the other counties within the Rift Valley. It is something that really is worrying. And as a leader, you should have understood that resources are not given according to where you come from, it's according to the needs. When I was in the ministry, there was more money going to Kiambu about husbandry of pigs and chicken, and there was more money about maize in the North Rift, more money about wheat in the Rift Valley, the southern part, and the Timau, because you give money where activities take place. So in terms of infrastructure, it should have been considerate to allow every county to complete some of the projects, because there is no county today which does not have a project that was started by the previous regime that needs to be completed.
Very well. Yeah. As we close the show, Kipchumba Kirwa, you've been a long-serving member of Parliament and also a leader in this country. And even during your time in Parliament, do you consider it to have been compromised, as the current one is, to a level whereby it's considered to be playing to the tune of the president and to the executive, that even on bills that will really negatively affect the citizens, they're going to be assented to just because we need to please the executive and the president at the end of the day? Do you consider this a parliament that should have a Damascus moment?
Well, it's a very wonderful analysis that you've given. What I do understand about my tenure, 15 years in Kanu as a member of parliament and 5 years in NAC, both as a member of parliament and as a minister. The 15 years that I served under Moi, I was basically considered a rebel. Not because I had any problem with President Moi, but because I felt some of the things were not going the right way, and I needed to stand up to be counted among those who are with the people. Number two, my county, my constituency, but in particular Cherangani, is very cosmopolitan. There is no single community that can boast of winning an election in that constituency unless they get the support of other communities. Because running down, 30% are Kalenjin, 30% are Luya, and the other percentage Kikuyu, Kisi, and others in that order. So you need the support of other communities to win an election in Cherangani. And therefore, I had to midwife the process, the landscape, in a way that I'm able to have the confidence of all the communities in Cherangani. Almost at the expense of Kalenjins feeling that I was betraying their cause.
A radical.
Yes, I was being a radical, and they believed that President Moi being one of them, I needed to say nothing. But I realized it was otherwise. Perhaps that is why when President Moi left the stage, I also lost the election, because I lost the relevance, because I was the safeguard against Moism. So I think current members of parliament, they are scared of President Ruto, especially those of Kenya Kwanza, and therefore they are likely not to tell him the truth. They are likely to be so scared about being re-elected to the extent that they will find themselves being voted out, because it is not the party that will give them the votes. It is the ticket given by the party, but the party may not be as popular as it was in the last election in areas where they come from.
Very well. Well, there you have it. That point by Kipchumba Kirwa takes us to the wrap of this conversation today, talking a plethora of issues in the world of politics and governance. Whether the current leaders will tap into his nuggets of wisdom, it remains to be seen. But until next time, thank you so much for tuning in. Kipruto Arap Kirwa, thank you so much for coming through.
It's my pleasure.
Kongoi.
Kongoi.
All right. Until next time, God bless.